Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I am your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder, and it's great to have you guys here on this Football Friday. So I didn't realize this, but it was brought to my attention that I did not have sound for pretty much like the whole show as I was doing it. I was in the zone just, doing the show, and then, it was brought to my attention that I didn't have sound. So we're going to start from scratch again. So, got a lot to talk about today, once again. Also have the baseball podcast after this. So, I'm going to do that after I live stream this show. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. But yeah, let's get right into what we were talking about before that occurred. So, so the Broncos and the Chiefs. So the Chiefs, they have won the previous 15 meetings against the Broncos, and the Broncos, the last time they won was when Peyton Manning was the quarterback. That was back in 2015. It was like week 2 of the NFL season that year, and that was the year the Broncos won the Super Bowl. And that was a long time ago, and a lot of things have changed since then. I mean, the Broncos, they've gone through quarterbacks. I mean, Trevor Siemian, Paxton Lynch, Joe Flacco, Drew Lock, like all these guys. Now Russell Wilson, and that streak continued to go. And the Broncos lost last night, 19-8. I mean, I thought the Broncos would cover the spread, but that was not the case. Their offense really has been kind of like their strength this season, because the defense has just been so bad, has really been a sieve. And last night they actually did play a good game. Mahomes didn't really look that good. We'll actually take a look at the. He was still okay, but he didn't light up the stat sheet. So we'll look at the statistics here. So Russell Wilson yesterday, he was 13 of 22 for 95 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. And Mahomes, he was 30 of 40 for 306 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Their leading rusher was Isaiah Pacheco. He's continuing to have a good season. And he's getting involved in the passing game too, as well. And he looks like he's they got themselves a good player, Pacheco. And Kelsey, of course, was their leading receiver last night as well. Taylor Swift was in the house. So it definitely you kind of expected Kelsey to have a good game, but he was. I mean, the Broncos just did a terrible job covering him. I mean, he's just wide open all the time. I mean, that's the one guy that you got to focus on, because the receivers. I mean, Kadarius Toney's still a question mark. I mean, Valdez-Scantling makes a big play here or there. Justin Watson, same thing. Rashee Rice, he actually had a good game. He had that big catch towards the end to set up the field goal that put the Chiefs up 19-8. So, it's, the Broncos, they just couldn't get anything going. I mean, Russ had 2 picks. And Sean Payton kind of had, at the end of the game in his press conference, he talked about how, it was his bad for calling the timeout. Near the end of the first half, because then the Chiefs were able to march down the field, and Harrison Butker kicked a 60-yard field goal, which, he's been money this year. He hasn't missed a field goal yet, But I thought the Broncos could backdoor it, and it looked like that, was going to happen. But unfortunately, the Chiefs, they got that big play with Rashee Rice, and they were able to kick the field goal. So, I'm just doing so bad picking Chiefs games this year when it comes to the spreads. Listen, I didn't expect the Broncos to win, but, I was hoping they would backdoor it. And it was almost a miracle because, the only big play they had on offense was that touchdown to Cortland Sutton, which was set up by a very questionable roughing the passer call. And, many, fans complain about the Chiefs always getting calls, but that call was for the Broncos. And, that set up the touchdown. Cortland Sutton made a really nice catch. That was really it. And then they got the 2-point conversion. But other than that, the Broncos offense really just did nothing. The first, 6 or 7 possessions, it started off with a turnover on downs. So their first, their first 7 possessions. So it was turnover on downs, interception, punt, interception. So, I think, there's things that need to be fixed with that team, and it's not going to happen this year. They started releasing some guys. They released Frank Clark, so maybe he goes back to Kansas City because he was on the Chiefs the last few years, so he might be going back there possibly. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But it just was a bad loss. And also, the other thing too is, I saw something that said that Russell Wilson, there could be a change at quarterback possibly. That there's some rumblings that maybe Russell Wilson takes a seat and they start Jarrett Stidham instead. I hope not, because from a fantasy perspective, I kind of need Russ because in my 2 QB league, he's basically my QB1, it was supposed to be Aaron Rodgers, but we know what happened there. But yeah, it's a mess over there. And listen, how bad does Sean Payton look right now? He talked all that stuff about Nathaniel Hackett. I talked about this yesterday, and you're doing an even worse job than he is right now. So what does that say about you? So, and the Broncos now, they're 1-5. They're not going anywhere. The Chiefs, listen, it hasn't looked pretty so far, but at least offensively. But you know what? They're getting the job done. You know what? Their defense is playing good. This is one of the better defenses that they've had in a while. So I don't know. We're just going to have to, wait and see. The thing is, with the Chiefs, they're kind of winning ugly. Yesterday was kind of an ugly win for them. They're fortunate that the offense for the Broncos just couldn't do anything yesterday. But, yeah, they look good. They look good. So, I think that, they're eventually going to figure it out. Mahomes hasn't had to play hero ball that much. But I think, when he has to be money, he's gonna do that. And, we're just going to have to, wait and see. I think as the season progresses, the offense will probably figure it out. And the other thing is they got to go out and get a receiver. I think they definitely have to go and do that because, this receiving core just really isn't that good. And, Kadarius Toney did score a touchdown last night, but that was really all he did. Justin Watson got hurt. I think it was a wrist injury. Obviously, you still got Travis Kelce, of course, and Isaiah Pacheco. He's been running the ball very well. But, yeah, it's a work in progress with this offense. I think they kind of miss Eric Bieniemy. But we'll see. Maybe there's a receiver that's made available. The Chiefs try to, maybe, excuse me, make a trade. So, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, I mean, listen, they're 5-1. I mean, they're on their way to winning another AFC West crown. So, I think that they're going to be fine. I'm not worried about the Chiefs. I just am not. Because listen, we were worried about them a couple years ago. They made it to the AFC Championship, and then they lost Tyreek Hill and won the Super Bowl. So, but you know what? I think the way the defense has been playing, that's something you got to be encouraged about. I mean, now having Chris Jones back after he was holding out, I think they are, they're heading in the right direction with that defense. It's just the offense, they got to, figure some stuff out and maybe get some more playmakers, possibly via trade. So, but it's two teams going in completely different directions right now. That's really how you got to look at it. So, I mean, if Russell Wilson gets benched, I mean, how about that? I mean, that would be insane if that ends up happening. But I mean, the team's a mess right now, and to give the defense credit, I mean, they actually played good. I mean, they held the Chiefs to 19 points. I mean, it should have been 16 if if Sean Payton didn't waste a timeout and give the Chiefs the ball back and allow them to get into good field position to kick a field goal. Because listen, Butker kicking a 60-yard field goal, I mean, that's that's a given. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, Butker looks good. I mean, Kelsey had another great game. Taylor Swift was in the house. Pacheco looks good. The defense looks good. I mean, Mahomes, yeah, he's been okay the last 2 weeks, but wasn't great against the Jets. The thing that concerns me with Mahomes is the interceptions, because they've been bad. And also the other thing too is Andy Reid and some of the play calling. I'm getting tired of these direct snaps and handoffs to wide receivers, and they did a fake field goal yesterday, and they didn't get the first down. I'm getting a little tired of this stuff, because listen, either take the points, and the other thing too is you got Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback. Let him get the first down for you. Why are you? I don't get it. It really is. Some of the play calling really is, it's questionable. It really is. So, I don't know. And that could lead to their demise down the road in the playoffs. I don't know. Right now, I can't really sit here and say that the Chiefs are going to repeat, and it's hard to repeat. Obviously, they're going to probably be one of the final teams at the end. But something's off with them right now. And also with Andy Reid doing, calling some of these plays, I think they got to tone it down a little bit with some of these fake plays, because it's going to cost them. I mean, they're fortunate they weren't playing against a very good team yesterday, but you're doing that against the Bills or the Dolphins. I mean, those teams are probably might capitalize on that. Or the Bengals, with them hopefully trying to figure it out. So, yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. But, yeah, that's pretty much it. Talking about the Chiefs and the Broncos here. The Broncos, they've now lost 16 straight against the Chiefs. Again, the last time they won was 2015, which was a long time ago. So with that, we are going to take our first break of the show. And then when we come back, we are going to discuss a big NFC matchup between the first place Lions and the first place Buccaneers. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we are going to talk about the Lions and the Buccaneers. This is a big matchup between these two teams, of course. Both teams coming in first place in their respective divisions. And I'm really looking forward to this matchup. I like Dan Campbell as a head coach. I mean, the press conference, I got a kick out of that when he was talking about, although it was insane at the time, obviously he was talking about, biting off the kneecaps of his opponents and, getting up and smiling at them and then taking off another kneecap. I mean, it was just, the press conference was just insane. But, listen, I think he's done a great job. He's turned this team around. It was rough the first year. The second year wasn't going so well, and he thought at one point he was going to get fired. But yeah, to give him credit, the Lions turned it around, and although they didn't make the playoffs last year, they still finished with the winning record, and yeah, now they're in first place, and I think they're gonna make some noise in the playoffs. They are. Right now they're the third best team in the NFC. I think they're still a notch below the Eagles and the 49ers, but listen, I think that they are. I still think they are a very good team. The defense is improving. They have a good running game. Jared Goff is playing it at an MVP type level. They got good receivers. The tight end Sam Laporta, who I really haven't mentioned. He's playing well. So, I really like this team a lot. It's really coming together. And then on the Buccaneers side of things, I know I talked about Baker Mayfield previously, and I'm a fan of his, and I want to see him succeed. And so far, he's doing that. The Bucs are playing really well this season. The one loss is against the Eagles, where they didn't really play particularly well. But I thought getting a huge win on the road against the Saints was, that was a statement win right there. Although the Saints really haven't been playing well themselves offensively. But, right now the Bucs, they're kind of, they're looking like, right now the favorites to win the division at this point. I think, right now they're in first place. They could all change. But I look at them as being a team, I think they're better than the Falcons. And right now, I think they're better than the Saints based off of what they did in New Orleans a couple weeks ago. And I looked at their schedule. They got a soft schedule. They got a lot of wins, winnable games on that schedule. So I think they could at least go like 9-8, 10-7 probably gets you the division. This is a team last year, the Bucs, they finished 8-9. But obviously they're going to have to keep up with the Lions offense, which scores a lot of points. The Lions defense is actually good against the run. We'll actually go through the stats right now. Looking at the stats for both of these teams. So on offense, the Lions are 11th in passing yards per game. Bucs are 18th. The Lions are a very good rushing team. They're top 10. They're 7th. They're averaging 141 yards, rushing yards per game. The Bucs, they're not very good with running the football. They're 25th. They are averaging 87 yards, rushing yards per game. And then points, this is a big difference. The Lions are averaging 29.6, which is 4th in the NFL. And the Bucs are only averaging 21. Then on defense, they're both around the same when it comes to passing yards. The Bucs are 18th. The Lions are 19th. Rushing yards is a big difference. They're both top 10. The Lions, they allow an average of 68.4 rushing yards per game, and the Bucs allow 94.8. So both top 10 against the run, but the Lions are definitely better when it comes to stopping the run. And then points allowed, Bucs, their defense is giving up an average of 17 points per game. Lions are giving up 21. So, the Bucs defense has been good this year. And, I think that, they could definitely give the Lions offense some problems in this game, which I think could allow this game to be close. I do think that. But, the Lions are dealing with some injuries as well. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs is questionable. Sam Laporta is also questionable. So if Laporta doesn't play, that's a big loss for them. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think, is going to make his return this week, so that's big. Their leading receiver. Listen, David Montgomery's been running the football very well for them. So, even if Gibbs misses this week, I'm not really, that concerned there because, David Montgomery, I think he's scored a touchdown in every single game this year that he's played for the Lions. He's been great for them so far. He's been a great replacement for Jamal Williams. On the Bucs side of things, Mike Evans is questionable with the hamstring. He did return to practice. So, I think a lot of what happens in this game, I think it's also going to depend on his health. Although, listen, the Bucs, they won without Mike Evans, for most of that game against the Saints. So now they're at home. So we'll have to see. Right now, the spread is +3. And I'm going to take the Bucs with that number at home, getting 3. I like them with the points. Although, listen, they're going to have to keep up with that high-scoring offense. They just are. So, we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. But, looking at both of these teams, listen, I don't think many people thought this game's actually got flexed into the 4:25 Eastern Time slot. This is now America's Game of the Week. It wasn't going to be that previously, but now it is. And listen, not many people, not really anybody, thought that this was going to be America's Game of the Week. Because a lot of people thought the Bucs were going to be the worst team in football. So, but that's not the case now. They're playing well. They are, and and a big part of that is because of how Baker Mayfield is playing, and I just hope he continues to do that. I want to see him succeed, and I want him. Hopefully, this is his new home because I talked about it yesterday. He's bounced around a lot. The Browns get rid of him for Deshaun Watson, then he goes to the Panthers. They get rid of him, and then he goes to the Rams. He's there for a little bit, has to learn the playbook on the fly, and then the Bucs are like, "Hey, we'll give you a chance." And then you got all those videos coming out on Twitter of him and Kyle Trask throwing passes, and they're just not good. They're missing receivers, and you're like, oh man, the Bucs are going to be bad this year. But they get that big win on the road against the Vikings. They win against the Bears at home. They lose against the Eagles at home, which kind of expected. But I thought their biggest win, of course, was against the Saints on the road, because I really didn't think they were going to win that. And Baker played well. He threw 3 touchdowns in that game. And Mike Evans was hurt. And now this is a big game. Because, if the Bucs win this game, I look at this team. The conference isn't that strong. You look at the AFC, it's a stronger conference, of course. But, I look at the Bucs. If they beat the Lions here in a good game, I think they're, they got to be, top 5 in the NFC. I think they are right now, just because of how weak the conference is. But, this definitely puts more respect to them as a team if they're able to pick up this win. If the Lions just absolutely dismantle them, then that's, they're going to take a huge hit there. But, I think at home, I think they can win this game. I think they can. Because, listen, the 49ers are in a tier of their own. The Eagles, are below them slightly. But I look at the Eagles as an elite team, even though they have some question marks on defense right now. But, I still think they are still a very good team. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it when talking about, this topic. Obviously, I'm looking forward to this is probably the best game of the weekend. Other than the Chargers and the Cowboys, which, I'll talk about that on Monday because, I figure preview that on Monday when we do that. Because, the Sunday night game, Giants, Bills, yeah, not good. Not good. And listen, I'm going to get my wish. Doesn't look like Daniel Jones is playing in that game. We'll talk about that towards the end of the show in the final segment. But I mean, yeesh, it's I'm not really looking forward to this Sunday night game. Let me tell you, it really is going to be it's not going to be good. It's going to be a disaster. It really is. But we'll get into it when we get into the third part of the show. So we're going to take our second break of the show, and then when we come back, we are going to discuss the early window games for Sunday, and I'll give my thoughts on that. I'll give out my picks, and yeah, so that'll be the third part of the show when we get back from break. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we are now going to preview. Well, we're going to start off our previews with previewing the early window games for Week 6. But before I do that, once again, I want to remind you guys to get your comments recognized and to donate or tip to the show. Make sure to go to streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. Again, that really helps the show. And for bonus coverage materials that are not covered by this broadcast, make sure to go to patreon.com and search up GSMC Sports Network. And that is where you can find all of your exclusive content. So, with that, let's get into the third part of the show, which is previewing the early window games for this weekend. So, obviously, we're going to start in London. We got the early game there. The Ravens and the Titans, these are two teams that know each other well. Obviously, the Ravens and the Titans, they've played each other a couple of times in the playoffs. There was also that game they played in Baltimore during COVID. Well, they played each other twice during the COVID year. Derrick Henry had that walk-off touchdown in overtime. The year before that, the Titans came into Baltimore. Ravens were the 1 seed. Lamar Jackson was the MVP. And the Titans won that game. And then Lamar got his revenge, his first playoff victory ever. And, he was able to best the Titans in that. So, yeah, these teams know each other well. Although, the Titans aren't as good as they were. Obviously, Derrick Henry's getting older. Tannehill isn't as good as he was, a few years ago. They don't have A.J. Brown anymore. They have DeAndre Hopkins now, who actually is coming off of his best game of the season with the Titans, so that's encouraging. But, yeah, this is a different Titans team from a few years ago. And the Ravens are coming off of both teams are coming off losses. Titans 23-16 loss to the Colts, and the Ravens losing a very bad game to the Steelers 17-10. A lot of drops and turnovers, and if that doesn't happen, then the Ravens probably win that game. So the spread is +4. I like the Ravens to win the game. The over/under is 42. I'd maybe take the over in the game. I could definitely see this being a close game. I know the Titans, I just can't seem to figure them out. They're so inconsistent. They blow out the Bengals, and then they lose to the Colts. I don't really know. can't really get a gauge on them. I mean, the line was, I think, +3, but now it's up to +4. I like the Ravens in this game. I think they could cover that number. I just don't really like the Titans. I think the Ravens are the better team. Ravens are coming off a bad loss as well. I like them in this matchup to win the game and to cover, so I'll take the Ravens in that matchup. So we'll move on now. And now we're actually back to where I started before I was alerted that I had no sound. So that's good. All right, so let's get into now Washington and Atlanta. So Atlanta's unbeaten at home. Washington, they're coming off of that blowout loss to the Bears on Thursday night. I like the Falcons in this game right now. The spread, Washington's getting the points. They're getting 2.5. I don't like these 2.5 point spreads. I'm not very good at picking them. But you know what? I think Atlanta, they're good at home. Washington, their defense did not play well last week. Sam Howell did have a good game, so I think he's going to put up points. But you know what? I like Atlanta at home. Their defense is kind of underrated too. And Desmond Ridder actually has never lost a home game since he's become the starter for the Falcons. So you know what? I'm gonna go with the Falcons in this game. I think they cover the spread. So give me the Falcons in that game. So now we move on to the next game. We got the Vikings and the Bears, a pair of 1-4 teams. Two teams that are going in the same direction. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. I mean, the Bears, they came off of that huge win against Washington. The Vikings, again, losing again. Another one-score game to the Chiefs last week, 27-20. And they also lost their best player, Justin Jefferson, who got placed on IR with the hamstring. So, I mean, I like the Bears right now are +3. I mean, it was at +2.5. I like the Bears to win outright. I just think the Vikings, they don't really run the football well. Now they're losing Justin Jefferson. Their defense really isn't that good. I mean, I could see the Vikings definitely winning this game, but I think the Bears, right now, Justin Fields looks like he's playing better. DJ Moore had his breakout game, and I look for that. And, Cole Kmet, he's been looking better as of late as well. Although the one thing that does concern me is the fact that, Roshan Johnson, I think that's how you pronounce his name, I think, and Khalil Herbert are most likely aren't good. Well, Khalil Herbert's not going to play in this game. I don't know what Johnson, I think, is still questionable. So they're kind of dealing with some injuries in their backfield. Deontay Foreman, I think, might finally actually play because he keeps being healthy scratches for these games. That's the one thing that concerns me is the injuries to the backfield. But I don't know. I just think without Jefferson now, and they can't really run the football, the Vikings, and they turn the ball over a lot too. I think the Bears being at home, I think they win this game. So I'll take the Bears and I'll lay the points. All right. So the next game, this is a good game. This is one of the better games of the weekend as well, and that is the Bengals and the Seahawks. Seahawks are coming off of a bye. Bengals, big win over the Cardinals. Joe Burrow looked a lot better. Jamar Chase had 3 touchdowns. Yeah, I like the Bengals at home. Listen, the Seahawks, I again wouldn't be surprised if they win this game, but I liked what I saw from the Bengals last week. I know it was against the Cardinals, but I just think that the Burrow's starting to get healthier. You could see it. And they got Jamar Chase going. Joe Mixon, he's been running the football well this year for them. T. Higgins, you hope he comes back. So if they got their full array of weapons and they're at home, I think they win the game here. But it should be a good game. The over/under is 45. I think there could be a decent amount of scoring in this game, so I think maybe you take the over. So I'll take the Bengals to win outright at home. So now we move on to the next early window game here. So we got the 49ers and the Browns. Right now the Browns are a 10-point underdog at home, and that's because Deshaun Watson will not be playing on Sunday again. It looks like it's going to be P.J. Walker. I probably would take. I am taking the Niners, laying the points. I mean, listen, we saw what the Browns did with DTR quarterback against the Ravens. I mean, they really couldn't get anything going, and the 49ers are just right now the best team in the NFL. And listen, the Browns, they have a very good defense, but listen, the 49ers, I mean, the Ravens, look what the Ravens did to them without, Watson. Imagine what the 49ers are going to do. I mean, Brock Purdy right now he looks like maybe the favorite to win MVP at the moment. And Christian McCaffrey is a part of that conversation as well. I mean, I think he has also another guy that has a touchdown in like every single game. So, I mean, what else is there to say? 49ers, I think, win this game pretty handily. I think they cover the number. Because in my spread, like with the spread pools on CBS, like the lines don't change. So right now, the spread is still at 5.5. I mean, it jumped all the way up to 10 because now they got P.J. Walker starting, and it's gonna be a rough day for him. I mean, dealing with Nick Bosa in that front. And that Browns defense is going to have their hands full because you got to cover Deebo Samuel, Ayuk, McCaffrey, Kittle. I mean, it's just you got weapons all over the place. I just, I really don't see the Browns making this game competitive at all. So, 49ers win this game pretty handily. And, I'm going to lay the points there, of course. So now we move into another game here, and this could be an interesting game here. So you got the Houston Texans, who are 2-3 against the 3-2 Saints. The Texans, tough loss last week against the Falcons. Saints are 3-2 after blowing out the Patriots last week, 34-0. Texans right now are plus 1.5. I don't feel confident about it. I could definitely see the Texans pulling off the upset here. But I'm going to take the Saints. I still think they're the better team right now at the moment. Alvin Kamara's back, and he's looked good so far. Derek Carr hopefully, gets it going. Michael Thomas has gotten off to a good start this year. So, and listen, that's very encouraging, seeing that. So I like the Saints here, although, again, I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans pull off the upset because they've been playing well this year. C.J. Stroud has been playing very well, with the young wide receivers he's got at his disposal. So we'll see what happens, but I like the Saints in this game. So now we move on to the Colts and the Jaguars. Now, obviously, these two teams played each other in Week 1. The Jaguars got the win there, although Anthony Richardson will not be playing in this matchup. Right now, the Colts are a 4-point underdog. Gardner Minshew will be getting the start, so he'll be playing against his former team. The Jags, they picked up that huge win in London against the Bills. And the Colts, they obviously picked up a big win against the Titans. So both teams are 3-2. And right now, I would take the Colts. I'm going to take the Colts with the points here. The Jags, they haven't really been like... Listen, I think the big reason why they won last week, and a lot of people would say that, is because of, the Bills getting there late on London, and they were in London like all week, So I just think that I think here now, I just think the Colts, they can keep it close at least. You got Jonathan Taylor back. And Minshew's a serviceable backup. The Colts have been playing good. They've been playing good. I mean, they beat the Titans. They had that upset win against the Ravens in Baltimore a couple weeks ago. So, I like them in this spot here to cover the number. So I'll take the Colts. But I think the Jags probably still win. But yeah, I like the Jags. The Colts with the points. And then the final early window game here, we have the Dolphins and the Panthers. Two teams that are going in very different directions. The Panthers are 0-5 right now. Bryce Young threw 3 touchdowns last week, but it was in a blowout loss to the Lions. So it's now they're going up against the Dolphins, who can put up points as well. This is going to be a long a long game for the Dolphins. Or did I just say the long game for the Dolphins? Long game for the Panthers. Dolphins right now are 13.5-point favorites. I probably go with, the Dolphins cover that spread, I think. There's really no scenario in which I see the Panthers, coming out on top. Can they move the ball on them, on the Dolphins defensively? Maybe. They might put up some points, but I just think the Dolphins with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, they're just going to run all over that defense. Obviously, the Dolphins are going to be missing Devon Achane, their running back, who, he was awesome. And, of course, he has to get hurt. I think Jeff Wilson's supposed to come back this week, so that's good. You still got Mostert. So, the Dolphins are going to be fine. But the way Achane was running the football, he was huge. He was huge, So, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But, I really just don't. I really don't see a scenario in which the Dolphins lose this game. They're going to be 5-1. Panthers are going to be 0-6. Just not looking good. There's some question marks with Frank Reich too. Some people are having with him as the head coach. They just don't look good. So, but that's the one. Not the 1 o'clock, but the early slate of games. So I'll just run through them one more time. So I got the Ravens winning the game and covering the spread, covering the +4 in London. Got the Falcons covering the 2.5-point spread at home against Washington. I got the Bears winning outright against the Vikings. I have the Bengals covering the 2.5-point spread at home against the Seahawks. Niners covering that 10-point spread against the Browns. The Saints winning against the Texans, covering that 1.5-point spread. The Colts maybe not necessarily winning outright, but at least covering the 4-point spread against the Jags. And then I have the Dolphins, who will be covering the 13.5-point spread against the Panthers at home. So those are all the early window games. So with that, we're gonna next on the show. We are going to. Didn't want to do that. Went backwards. Sorry, everybody. Final segment of the show. We are going to. We're going to preview all the late window games. So we'll go through the Patriots and the Raiders. We obviously did highlight the Lions and the Bucks. So we don't have to do that. The Cardinals and the Rams will go through. Jets and Eagles. And then, of course, we will have to talk about the Sunday night matchup between the Buffalo Bills. We don't have to talk about it, but we should because, got to cover every game. We will talk about the Buffalo Bills and the New York Giants, their Sunday night matchup. I'll give my thoughts on that when we come back from our final break of the show. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the final part of today's show, we finally made it after after the error, the big error that I had today. We finally made it to the end, and we're going to be previewing the late and just to get to why I did it though. This is the real reason why I did it. So I sabotaged this broadcast because I just did not want to talk about the Giants game. So But yeah, we finally made it to the end. No, that's not the reason why. But finally made it to the end. And let's go through the rest of these games here. So we got another doozy here. So we got the Patriots and the Raiders on Sunday at 4:00, and 4:05 Eastern time. I'm always gonna do that, just to have it. So we got the Patriots and the Raiders, and if you remember, this is a rematch of last year's game when Jacoby Myers, he threw that pass at the end of the game, tried to throw it back to somebody, and Chandler Jones caught it, threw Mac Jones into the ground basically, and took it in for a touchdown, and the Raiders ended up winning the game. I think it was like 30-24 the final score was. But if that doesn't happen, the game goes into overtime. But oh no, that was not the case. Raiders picked up the win there. So this is a rematch. Both teams aren't very good. Raiders are coming off of a win against the Packers. The Patriots, they're coming off of a 34-0 loss to the Saints at home. Now you're probably thinking, oh, he's probably gonna pick the Raiders, right? Nope, I'm taking the Patriots. I don't trust the Raiders. I don't trust them, and that doesn't mean that. Oh well, I trust the Patriots. No, I don't trust anybody in this game, quite frankly. But I don't. First of all, Jacoby Myers won't make that same mistake. I mean, he could make that same mistake, but he's on the other team now. Right now, the Raiders are a 3-point favorite in this game. Taking the Patriots with the points. I think the Patriots win this game. They got to win at some point, right? And and I think Bill Belichick, he's going to want to stick it to Josh McDaniels and say, listen, you won last year on a fluke. All right, we're winning this game. Because the Patriots should have won that game. But they figuratively and literally threw the game away with what Jacoby Myers did. So, I mean, obviously, they're going to have some problems with Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams. Listen, I like the Raiders' offense. Their playmakers a lot better than I do with what the Patriots have on offense. But Patriots got a better defense. Garoppolo hasn't looked great. So, I think they could force him into some turnovers. And you know what? I like the Patriots in this game. I really do. So I'm going to say they cover the spread, they win this game, and they get themselves back on the right track, and both teams go to 2-4. All right, so now let's go into the next game. Rams and Cardinals. Well, both teams are coming off of losses. Cardinals losing, I think, 34-20 or 37-20 to the 34-20 to the Bengals, and then the Rams last week losing 23-14 to the Eagles. Rams are right now a 7-point favorite. Cardinals are going to be without James Conner, which is a big loss. I think the Rams, I think they cover the number. I think they win by more than a touchdown, although it's risky. Because, listen, the Cardinals have been competitive, but I think now without James Conner, who was the engine for them on offense, I like the Rams in this game. Cooper Kupp is back, and he looked really good. I think they're going to run the ball better this week with Karen Williams, and they got the better defense. They got the better overall team. So I like the Rams to get back on track, get themselves back to 500. So give me the Rams over the Cardinals to cover the spread and win outright. And then next we get to the final late afternoon game. You got the Eagles and the Jets. Now, the Jets are coming off of a win against the Broncos to get themselves to 2-3. I mean, Breece Hall had a great game. And Bryce Hall had that play at the end of the game to score another touchdown for them. Zach Wilson's looked better. The Eagles are 5-0 coming in. The Jets have never beaten the Eagles. And the Jets right now are a 6.5-point underdog. Now, the Jets have done well at home. They've given Josh Allen problems. They have given Patrick Mahomes problems. I mean, they gave Mac Jones problems, but, the Patriots still ended up winning the game 15-10. And they lost to the Chiefs as well. So, are they going to give Jalen Hurts some problems? I think they will, the defense. But I can't pick the Jets here. I know they got 6.5. They're getting 6.5 points. I just think the Eagles are the better team. I think they're going to force Zach Wilson into turning the ball over. I mean, listen, if the Jets' defense plays well, maybe they stay in it. The Jets have played better at home. But I think the Eagles, they win, they cover the spread. And I think the Jets have to wait another 4 years before they before they have another chance to beat the Eagles. So, but we'll see. But I'll take the Eagles here, and they'll improve to 6-0, and Jets will drop to 2-4, going into their bye week, I believe. All right, I just want to double check on that just to make sure. Yeah. So they'll be going into their bye week, and then they'll be playing the New York Giants. So that's a great game to come out of at the bye week. All right. Speaking of the New York Giants, the final game that we will preview for today is the Sunday night game between the New York Giants and the Buffalo Bills. So, no Daniel Jones, it looks like. Tyrod Taylor looks like he is getting the start in this game. Saquon Barkley is still questionable. Andrew Thomas, I think, is still questionable. The line just keeps going up and up and up. Bills right now are 15-point favorites right now. Right now. I'm surprised it's not higher because, yeah, I think this game is going to be a mess. And I really feel bad for Tyrod Taylor. I mean, he's, I caught a glimpse of, them interviewing him about him possibly getting the start. And, he looked like he was happy to get the start. And good for him. And you know what? Listen, he is a better backup than what the Giants have had in years past. He is. However, what we're going to see on Sunday night is it's not going to be good. There's plenty of things that I could say, but I'm just going to say it's not going to be good. I mean, this offensive line is terrible. Who knows if Barkley's playing? I mean, Waller's questionable going into this game too. Last time I checked. I really do not. I mean, there is no scenario in which the Giants win this game. There's none. I really don't think there's none. They have zero chance to win this game. Zero. And yeah, they could maybe somehow, some way, there's no, not even that. There's nothing. There's no way they win this game. There's no way. They're not even going to make this game is not even going to be competitive. Because not only that, the defense is bad. You're going to have these guys going up against Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. I mean, Josh Allen takes off with the ball. Who's going to tackle him? I mean, he's going to get tackled, but it's going to be an ugly game. It is going to be a very ugly game. And the Bills are going to win. They're going to cover the spread easily. I mean, the Giants could get shut out. I mean, I don't know if they will. They might get some garbage points at the end. Hey, they might backdoor cover. But there is no way, especially now with Daniel Jones being out. I mean, I don't know. I really don't understand why we didn't flex out of this game. Why are we still being subjected to this? Seriously. You could have, I mean, if Deshaun Watson was playing, you could have put, the Browns and the 49ers on prime time. You could have did the Bengals and the Seahawks. What about them? You could have put them on prime time. That would be a good Sunday night game. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. I mean, Rams, Cardinals, no. I mean, Patriots, Raiders. I mean, just, nah. I mean, it's just, why do you got to subject us to this? Because, I mean, if you look at the Giants' schedule, so after this Sunday night game, well, I mean, I guess they have one more primetime game, and that's against the Packers, and that's on Monday night. And based off of how the Packers played, I mean, that game could be ugly too. So yeah, I'm not really looking forward to this game at all. It's sad. It really is sad, and it's just, I mean, I don't know what to say. I really don't. This team was a playoff team last year. But, I mean, in the offseason, it just like, oh, man, the Giants are going to be really good this year. They're going to be better. And, I thought they were going to be better. But, then talking up Daniel Jones, and I'm just like, I don't really like where this is going. First game of the season is going to tell me everything I need to know. And what happened? 40-0. And here they are in Week 6. On prime time, Daniel Jones is hurt. No Barkley probably against the Buffalo Bills. And it's another one of those years. And you know what? Next year, they're not going to have primetime games. So that's going to be good. They're not going to have these primetime games anymore. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't know where they go from here. I really don't. I have no idea. As for the Bills, I mean, I really haven't even talked about them. I mean, one thing I forgot to mention, too, is... the Bills are coming off of a loss. They're coming off of a loss against the Jags in London. So, bad loss in London, going up against a team that's bad, at home. I mean, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to dominate them. All over the place. Defense, offense. I mean, it's just... Josh Allen's going to go crazy. That Bills defense is just going to... I feel bad for Tyrod Taylor. I really do. Because he's going to get destroyed back there. Honestly, if I'm the Giants, they're down by 2 scores. Just knee it the rest of the game. just take a knee the rest of the game. Because, I mean, they're going to get... Tyrod Taylor is going to get destroyed back there. You might see... Don't be surprised if you see Tommy DeVito have to come in, who looked good in the preseason. But again, it's preseason. He might be playing. He might be getting some snaps on Sunday Night Football against the Bills. I mean, listen, and you know what? I'm happy that Tyrod, is getting the, good for him. Like, I'm happy for him. Obviously, for Daniel Jones, it really is just unfortunate dealing with injuries. But, I mean, listen, for me, right now, like, I think you ride out this contract with Daniel Jones, and then that's it. Start over. Because, for me, I just don't think he's it. I don't. And I know he's getting... destroyed back there by this offensive line. And believe me, there's words that I want to say that I can't say. But, I mean, I just don't see it with him. I really don't. I mean, the Giants' offense, like, it's so predictable. Like, where are the big plays? Like, we drafted Jalen Hyatt. Can we use him? Can we use Waller? What are we doing? They're not doing anything. I mean, now with Tyrod, the game plan, like, completely changes. But, I mean, listen, for the Bills, this is a get-right game for them. I mean, listen, I'm not concerned after what happened last week. I mean, it's just the circumstances, so. I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see how it all goes. But, yeah, so we actually made it to the end of the show. We had sound. So I apologize for that. I didn't realize it because I was just zoned into this week. I was so amped up to talk about all these games and talk about the riveting Thursday night game we got and the great matchup we have on Sunday night that I didn't realize that we didn't have sound. And I'm usually good at keeping track of that, but for some reason I had no idea. So that's on me. But you know what? We got through the show. And we still got another show to go, actually. That's pretty much it, though, when it comes to, the games. I hope everybody enjoys them. But we do have another show coming up in about 10 minutes. A little less than 10 minutes now, actually. I'll be streaming the GSMC baseball podcast, and we won't have any errors with that, hopefully. So the Patreons, obviously will still come out. But we'll stream the baseball show after this. So, yeah, we got a busy day. So, big football Friday. We also got to recap the championship games, or not the championship games, the division series going into the championship series for baseball. But, that's pretty much it on today's GSMC football podcast show. Obviously, that was a big brain fart of mine, not noticing that there was no sound for the broadcast. So, again, I apologize for that. Moving forward, that will not happen again. And if it does, then, I'm kind of a fraud like Sean Payton is. Sorry, Sean Payton. Didn't mean to say that, but it's kind of true. With that is all the time that we have for today. I thank you guys for watching. We'll be back again next week, recapping all the games, previewing the Monday night game, when it comes to this podcast. So make sure to tune in to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, which is coming up shortly. And, so that's all the time that we got for today. Once again, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy the games this weekend. And make sure to tune into the GSMC Baseball Podcast, which, once again, is coming up very shortly. So, as always, I'm Kenneth Gruenfelder signing off. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. And, I'll see you guys in a little bit if, you tune in for the baseball podcast. But for the people that don't, I'll see you guys next week. Enjoy the weekend and take care.